Everybody, welcome to this video. My name is Yusra Ishaq. I'm a health and fitness behavior change coach. I help women achieve their health and fitness goals, right? Without dieting, without restriction. I help them, feel confident, feel sexy in their skin, feel energetic, so they can do all the amazing things that they want to do in life, so they can create memories with their children and their spouses and their partners and all that jazz. Today's topic is an interesting one, and I know this is something that a lot of women struggle with, right? I know a lot of my clients struggle with, and I know that I struggle with. And this is cravings during the menstrual cycle. Okay, so before we get into the cravings part, let's just get a sort of a basic understanding of what really happens during our menstrual cycle. And here, before I get into it, it's super important to remember that everybody's experience with their PMS is unique to them, right? So the things that I'm going to be mentioning, they're very much the generic understanding, but people will have a different experience within these parameters and within the context that I'm going to be talking about. Okay, so the average menstrual cycle is 20 days, right? Again, you can have anything between 21 days to 40 days is also normal, but the average is 28 days. And the day one of your cycle to around day 13, this is the follicular phase, right? And then you have ovulation, which is like bang on in the middle of your cycle, which is around day 13, day 14. And then the rest of the cycle is the luteal phase. Now, within these phases, they're also broken up into other phases, but we're just going to keep it simple and simplified, right? Now, within your menstrual cycle, within this period, you're going to have different requirements, your nutritional requirements, caloric requirements. So it's important for us to understand how our body feels during this period, because the more aware you are of how you feel, right, the more you'll be able to give your body what it needs during this period. The biggest hormones at play during this period, there's about 4 hormones, but the 2 main ones that we're going to talk about is estrogen and progesterone, right? So in the follicular phase, estrogen is higher. And this is often the time when we feel, for a lot of people, right? They feel fitter, they feel stronger, they can really hit their workouts really hard, they have more energy, right? And then the luteal phase, which is the last part of your cycle, this is when everything feels blah, right? You're more tired. And this is where majority of people get cravings. Now, not everybody's going to get cravings. This is so important to know. Some people can go through their period without even realizing, that the period is starting soon. But some of us really get it hard, right? Now, what happens during this period that gives us cravings as far as the basic understanding that we have? Now, we know during this period, both estrogen and progesterone are high, but progesterone is higher, especially closer to your bleeding days. There is an increase in our basal metabolic rate, right? And it shows that average up between 100 calories to 300 calories. Now, again, individual variability will come into play here. Now, we think, as far as research thinks, that the reason why we get craving is because the human body is incredible at adapting. So it goes, okay, I am burning, say, an extra 300 calories. So what I'm going to do to compensate for that, I'm going to increase hunger for this person, right? And what you tend to kind of crave for is, high carbohydrate, high fatty foods, right? Because again, the body prefers carbohydrates for it's the energy source, the fuel source. So we tend to crave those things a lot more, right? Another thing is that we are more insulin resistant towards that part, right? So it's almost like we need more sugar to hit the spot that we want it to hit, right? Because we are more insulin resistant. So we need more sugar to be able to get the energy that we want out of it, right? The third thing is that because towards the end, estrogen is lower. Estrogen, you can think of estrogen as it does this amazing job at balancing ghrelin, which is a hunger hormone, right? So when estrogen is higher, ghrelin is kind of like lower, but when estrogen is lower during that cycle, ghrelin shoots up, which means your hunger goes up. And on a side note is this is why people who are going through menopause have higher appetite, right? Have higher hunger levels, because during menopause, as estrogen starts to decline, ghrelin actually goes up, increasing your hunger. So your metabolic rate increases, all right? And this could be why you get all those cravings. Another thing that happens is our core temperature goes up by about 1 degree Celsius, our body temperature, and this can actually impact sleep. It can. So a recommendation during the period is, if you love your coffee, try not to take your coffee towards the second half of your day, so you can help improve sleep. Otherwise, sleep can be a challenge. Again, I don't really have issues sleeping, but some people do. So this could be a recommendation, right? Now, how can you manage these cravings? This is the main question, because I get a lot of people going, I want to lose weight, but then I don't know how to do it because I get so much cravings during that part of the cycle, right? And I don't know what to do about it. So here's a few things that you can do. Number one, you can pre-plan, right? Because and this is where the awareness thing comes in. Okay, I just hit ovulation, so I know for the next 2 weeks my hunger is going to go up, I'm going to be more tired, so during that time you can actually pre-plan your meals. You want to focus on high veggies, high protein, and wholesome carbohydrates, because they're going to satiate you more, right? It is okay to have the cake and to kind of like give in to your cravings. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It really comes down to how much of it I'm having, right? So if you focus on the things that are going to fill you up, which can also help you manage your caloric intake, you can also make room for all these other indulgences that you feel for, but in a way that is supportive of your long-term goals. That's number one. Number two, like I said, reduce caffeine intake, especially on the second half of your day. That's going to help improve your sleep. If you're training, again, for me, yeah, my training does get impacted towards the second half of my cycle. So I actually reduce the volume, I increase my rest periods. So you may want to, if you feel like dead tired during that time, take down your training, reduce the volume. You can reduce the actual, if you're resistance training, the amount of weight you're lifting, you can reduce, right? You can reduce the frequency, whatever works best for you to kind of feel great, or as great as you can during that period, because we also know there's over 150 symptoms, PMS symptoms, that people have reported, and that is a lot. That is a lot. We go through so much, subhanAllah. That is a lot, right? So the more you're aware, right, of your experience during this period, the more you can cater for it. Okay, another thing to be aware of is, we bleed a lot, we lose a lot of blood. So you want to make sure your iron levels are at a good place, because if you're low on iron and then you're low on vitamin D, that can leave you feeling even more tired. Okay, so just to reiterate everything, right? Yeah, our nutritional needs changes, our caloric needs changes, so being aware of your cycle can help with that. Number one, our BMR does go up for a lot of people, right, between 100 to 300 calories, right, which could be why your hunger increases, but also the decrease in estrogen could also be another reason why your hunger increases, because ghrelin goes up, right? Number two, we are more insulin resistant. So it's almost like we need more carbohydrates, more sugar to kind of give us the energy that we need. The body's amazing how it works, right? Number three, your body temperature does go up by 1 degree Celsius, and this can impact sleep. So be mindful of the amount of coffee that you take in. If you feel like your sleep is impacted, try to reduce the amount of coffee. Try to not have coffee for the second half of the day, because again, I forgot to say this, but the half-life of caffeine is 4 hours. right? So if you had, say, to make it simple, if you had a strong coffee at 6 p.m., by 10 p.m., you'll still have half the amount of caffeine in your bloodstream, right? So again, have coffee earlier in the day and try to reduce or avoid it towards the last part of the day. And last but not least is if you do really get cravings and you want to control your caloric intake, maybe because you want to lose weight, plan for it. Right? Focus on high protein, high vegetables, right? Focus on whole grain carbohydrates, wholesome carbohydrates like your legumes, your beans. These things are going to leave you fuller for longer, right? Up your satiety, but also at the same time, make sure you make room for those cravings that you want, because hey, it's life. You don't want to totally cut things out, right? And when we restrict so much, whatever you restrict persists. Remember that. So just budget for it, right? As long as your meals are healthy and they're supportive, you have room to add all these other things. Just be mindful of the portions. Okay, that's it from me, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.